So welcome everyone. We're here for the Bicycle New South Wales Ride Leader course update and a bit of an update from what the Master Ride Leader role is going to entail. So essentially, the bit of a background was because we couldn't run our normal courses at Bicentennial Park last year. It really sort of got us thinking on how can we make it easier for bugs to be able to train up ride leaders so that they can have just more ride leaders to be able to run rides throughout their bug, because we know there's people that drop off and there's people, we need the fresh ride leaders to be able to reinvigorate rides within the bugs. So yeah, and COVID, obviously bike sales went through the roof, and we've seen that all the pop-up cycleways have obviously come in because people are riding a lot more because gyms were closed last year. So one thing is for us, it's for ride leaders within bugs, it's the utmost importance that we have the right ride leaders leading rides that know the risks involved. So thank you for registering. So anyone that does want to, and you just spread the word when you go back to your bug rides, if they do want to register to become a ride leader, it is all on the website. I've got the course link there, and I'm happy to send this presentation, and we'll obviously have the recording of the session as well. We'll send that to all the registrants so that they can pass that around. But I've got a huge thanks, firstly, to David Martin and Graham Edwards for just being instrumental in developing and redesigning, I guess, the course so that it can be a devolved model, and that we can, I guess, have bugs that be a bit more autonomous in being able to train up ride leaders within the bug. So it doesn't have to fall on bugs being trained up and traveling a fair distance to come to Bicentennial Park to do the course on 2 days of the year. So really, really big thank you to David and Graham. They've put in an enormous effort, and I can't thank you enough. And to my team as well, who has been obviously putting all the material together and making sure that it's very readable. And yeah, so I'm going to pass it over to David to give a bit of an introduction into, I guess, what is the Ride Leaders course and how it works.
Yeah, hi everybody. Great to see you all tonight. Thanks, Alistair. Yeah, look, those of you who went to the Bicentennial Park course will recognise what we're going to run through here as pretty much what we did at Bicentennial Park, and also in other regional centres around New South Wales. I heard there was a course in Coffs Harbour, and I think there's one in Wagga as well, and maybe Orange. So this is not new, but it's been written up into a format that we hope bugs will be able to deliver. Now, just to start that process of describing what the course is, there are 2 columns in this overview diagram. You can see the left-hand one is the process steps that a Master Ride Leader will take a candidate through all the way down to accreditation, and we'll see that on a later slide. And on the right-hand side, you've got the resources for the candidate. There's really only 2 documents. You'll be familiar with the Ride Leader manual. It's been updated this year for this new devolved method of delivery. All the other things that you'll see on the right-hand column are in the candidate pack. Okay, they're all consolidated into the one document. And I think there's you may have seen a link to that already. I should add, and Alice has already mentioned this, that the role of Master Ride Leader is absolutely critical to whether this flies or not, and to the way each candidate is trained and assessed. There is a separate Master Ride Leader guide that you don't have access to just yet. We're just sort of holding on to that and only giving online access to Master Ride Leaders who are training a candidate. But we'll talk a little bit more about the Master Ride Leader role, but it's been significantly upgraded, and we've got a 2-pager that we'll talk to later on. But just going to the left-hand column, the steps, Alistair was talking about registering through the Bicycle New South Wales office. Of course, got to be Bicycle New South Wales members, experienced ride leaders, the right sort of people. You know, I've got the right temperament to manage a group, people's skills, planning, all those sorts of things. So we're relying on Bugs to be able to recommend the right sort of people who can do what a ride leader needs to do, because we know there are risks involved and that there are definite skills, and they're set out in some of the documents as well. So, but the steps that the Master Ride Leader is going to undertake, first of all, you're going to introduce the candidate to the materials. You'll make sure that they get into the Ride Leader manual, because it's got all the steps about for preparing a ride plan. Now, a ride plan, your critical risk management, risk identification, risk management. It consists of a route plan, which is probably digital these days, though it doesn't have to be. A cue sheet that sets out all the different legs and segments of the ride, and also the main hazards and regroup points and all of that sort of information. And then a ride description for you to promote and communicate the ride, so you don't get the wrong people turning up to the ride. And I think we've all seen that happen. It can lead to a most unsatisfactory ride for everybody. So the communication is absolutely essential. And we know the Bugs have got a whole lot of mechanisms in place. But that's the first step that the Master Ride Leader gets the candidates to go through. And I think, well, from my experience, preparing the ride plan, those three components takes a little bit of a few reiterations. The candidate may need to get back to the Master Ride Leader and get a bit of guidance on exactly what's required and how to do certain parts of it. We have a little thing called the theory and practice of ride leading, which is basically where you, the Master Ride Leader, talk to the finer points that are in the manual. The things about the pre-ride briefing and leading a group, and you've all got a whole lot of experience, things that have gone wrong in the past, how to keep an eye on everybody when you're out the front leading a group and you've got them behind you. How do you actually monitor what they're doing? I found that with new ride leaders, they tend to find that a bit of a challenge. So there's all these little tips and techniques that you can talk them through that they're sort of in the manual already, but you need to actually impart your experience in your local context. We've also put step 4 there on the left, few case studies, 3 scenarios where things go wrong on a ride. And basically we say to the candidate, well, what would you do if these things happen to you? You're out on a ride with a group, these particular things happen. How do you manage them? What do you do? And that's really a test of their resourcefulness. They've got to, as you all know, unexpected things happen on rides, and as the ride leader's got to be able to work out what to do, keep calm, keep the whole group, safe, and deal with the problems. If we can go to the next slide, Alistair, and I'll just very quickly go through the last parts of it. So going down the left, you'll get to a point where you assess the ride plan. Step 6 is what we want to see is a practical ride leading assessment, preferably off-road, or at least in a controlled environment, certainly a safe environment, a short course, but the candidate gets to lead a real group of people. Only needs to be a short course, but they get to practice the pre-ride briefing, getting a sweep, managing stuff that happens on the route, learns how to, as I said before, monitor what's happening before, during the ride with the group, making sure that they know who's with them, they know the numbers, all that sort of thing, managing the regroups in sort of safe locations and all those sorts of things. So it's just really the first real life practice run for them before we let them out into the traffic, so to speak. And then that's where we come to step 7, which is the co-lead, where they really are leading a real ride with real people out on roads or paths, wherever you want to ride. Probably going to be a short ride, a fairly manageable one. And you, as the Master Ride Leader, are going to be at their elbow, probably. You're going to be taking parts of the ride, and you're going to take over if anything goes wrong. But that's where they get, they get their wings, so to speak. They get the feel for actually leading the group and doing the pre-ride briefing, doing everything from beginning to end. Now, we're suggesting that certainly one co-lead could be enough. In my experience, I think people need to do a couple, because it just takes that little bit of practice and that little bit of experience to get into the to feel comfortable leading a group. And so the master ride leader might, with that second co-lead, take a bit more of a back seat, but might just let the new ride leader do more and more. But it's very, very important that these co-leads, and also the practical ride leading assessment before that, this is the real deal. This is where you're out on the road, and these people really need to be supervised. It can't be done online. It can't be done playing a video. It's got to be done in real life, because I don't know that. Not sure that everybody is suited to managing things that can happen on a ride, and to have the people skills to manage a group. So it's very, very important that the master ride leader does assess people in a real riding situation. Probably a good point now to say that we talked about the master ride leader. Alistair mentioned how it's been upgraded to enable this course to be delivered by bugs, and not under the sort of the supervision of Bicycle New South Wales near the offices we used to do. But very important that the master ride leader is able to take people all the way through the course, and with that comes some responsibility. The master ride leader has to assess the person and accredit them if they think they're suitable, and if not, well, then delay the accreditation. Don't accredit somebody who's not suitable. So the onus is, it's a delegated responsibility from the Chief Executive of Bicycle New South Wales to that master ride leader, who's going to sign off and say, I assess this person as being worthy of being a ride leader. The responsibility is going to be with you, and I don't want to go into any gory stories about the coroner's court or anything like that, but if things go wrong and they start looking at, how did this person come to be accredited as a ride leader for Bicycle New South Wales? There needs to be a paper trail. There needs to be a defendable process where this person was trained and assessed in the way that was set out. So I guess with this, I think it's this elevated role of master ride leader, there comes some responsibility. Look, I guess there's only one or two other things I really want to say. That's the new course in a nutshell. It does require the bugs to actually come up with a way of delivering the course. And the way I was talking a moment ago about the ride leading assessment, we used to do it at Bicentennial Park. We'd have 8 master ride leaders, and we could go out with the groups and do it in sequence. It's different now with this devolved model, because you can only do one ride leader assessment with practical ride leading, one at a time, one master ride leader, one candidate. So you've got to work out with the whole course how you're going to do it. Some of the earlier stuff with discussions you can do over Zoom or over a coffee at a coffee shop, face to face. You can do some of that stuff, in different ways, but you've got to work out how you're going to do the ride leading assessments. And I think that's a crucial thing. In some places, I think Kiama and Nowra, Shoalhaven Bug have teamed up in the past and got their resources together. I know I could see there, I see a few faces of you in the group here, where I'm working with Doug Draper out at Western Sydney Network. We've got people from Canada Bay Bug, where I'm from. We've got Cam West, we've got Bike Leichhardt, and we've got Western Sydney Network. So there are 8 people all together, and we're going to put people through a practical ride leading assessment on Saturday week. And we were out there last Saturday week looking at the ride plans and so forth. So there is a bit of an onus on bugs to work out how they're going to deliver the course. And it's going to fall on master ride leaders to work out how to do that. Now, you can see on screen the 2-pager we've got for master ride leaders, because we're going to need to have more master ride leaders, and Graham Edwards and myself have been assessing, very short interview, master ride leaders against this 2-pager, and just to check that they have had sufficient experience, that they are people who they are familiar with the content that I've just shown you, the process and the resource packs, the candidate pack and the master ride leader pack, that they are people who can deliver the training course, that we've got confidence that they're the suitable people to be a master ride leader. And I think one of the takeouts for this session, this Zoom session, is we're going to need to have more master ride leaders, not only for delivering the course in bugs across the state, but also I'm hoping that we can sort of grow the little group that actually supports bugs. So you don't, there may be a bug that's not in your area, but you may need to get on the phone and give some advice to people. So experienced master ride leaders are going to be very important as to whether this whole new course sort of sinks or swims, if you like. I mean, we've got 2021 ahead of us, or 7 or 8 months or so, and yeah, we need good master ride leaders, and I think Graham will support me when I say that we've been interviewing maybe half a dozen or so in the last month, maybe more, Graham, and the caliber of the people that we're seeing is really very heartening, but we're going to need more for this course to be a success throughout the year. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. What have we got next, Alistair? What have we? Yeah, that's right. So there is that 2-pager that you need to look at, and perhaps if there are experienced ride leaders in your course who you think would make good ride leaders, good people in your bug, then get them to have a look at this and hopefully put their names forward. Because we rely on your nomination, and then we do a short interview. So I think that's pretty much what I've got to say. I know that there's probably a whole lot of other points we could talk about, but that's it in a nutshell. Is that what you want to see, Alistair and Graham?
Yeah, I've just flicked over to the next slide, which is the reaccreditation process. Obviously, we've updated the course material. We'd like everyone that wants to become or continue to be a ride leader within their bug, or wants to become a master ride leader, just needs to obviously just reaccredit. We'll then, if you would like you to fill out the form, so we've got your updated details just from a governance perspective, and then we'll do the cross and checks, the checks and balances, I should say, in regards to, are you a member, which bug you're in, when you did the course. And then we'll send out a new certificate so that you've got that for the new course material once you've received it from your bug president. So I'll send these links out, separately to the group that has registered, so that you've got them, and please share them with your bugs and your ride leaders, so that we've got the most up-to-date list, so that we can share out any new details for the ride leader course material, master ride leader course material, and just generally so that we can get some feedback if you are sort of administering the course within your bug, or if a ride leader goes through the course and suggests something. We'd love to hear your feedback, because this isn't set in stone. We want to be able to evolve the program over the next 12 to 18 months, so that it's as good as it can be. Now, has anyone got any questions for myself or for David in regards to the course, or?
Bob Dunn from Bike Leichhardt. I have 2 questions, if I may.
Go ahead.
The reaccreditation process, you're talking about it every 3 to 5 years. Is that simply a seminar or session we have with ride leaders to update them on things that may have changed, or is that another test, an exam And the second question I had was about a first aid certificate and levels of ride leaders. I saw that on one of the slides. They're the two questions I've got.
Can I start with those, Alistair?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Bob, the reaccreditation idea does not have a whole process behind it at the moment, though we in Baybug, we do have a checklist, and our process is that a master ride leader or experienced ride leader will ride with another ride leader and sort of go through the checklist and then have a chat at the end of the ride. I've not had anybody fail, and I think Bike North do something similar. But let me say, the reaccreditation thing, it's not a heavy-handed thing from Bicycle New South Wales. It's really a way of encouraging master ride leaders and ride leaders to sort of talk to one another. You can work out exactly how you do it, but to talk to one another about current issues with the group, the way the rides are going, the routes that you're using, the traffic that you've got, the tips and techniques. You know, I mean, I noticed with one of our very experienced ride leaders, I was in a group and the person next to me said, you know, where do we go here when we got to a stop sign? And I had a word to the ride leader afterwards. He was so sort of focused on the route that he was following that he wasn't giving hand signals or directions, you know, turn left or turn right. So, I mean, there are little things we can help each other get better. And really that's what the reaccreditation process is about. It's essentially people talking to each other.
I'll add one thing.
Yeah.
I would just say that if someone hasn't or a ride leader hasn't done that many rides throughout the year or throughout that 3-year period, we just want to make sure that they are, you know, as up to date as they can be, so that if a master ride leader takes them out for a couple of rides and co-leads a couple of rides with them, they're aware. So it's more of a self-administration process from a bug perspective. We just want to make sure that the master ride leader ticks them off within the bug, that they're happy to lead rides, and they've had enough experience within that 3 to 5 year period. Whether it's the bug administers this ride, or ride leaders need to do at least 2 to 6 rides within the year in terms of leading, so that they're I guess up to date with the material and, you know, just their experience with leading rides. That's a suggestion. That is not a heavy-handed way of saying that you need to do 6 rides. It's just Bike North, I think, have and Darren, you can correct me on this, I think they have a checklist of you need to do a certain amount of rides to keep your ride leader status.
Yeah, I think Alison Pryor would be able to confirm that, but I think 6 at the moment to keep it in the year. Even though on COVID we were a bit lax because of the various restrictions and the like, but yeah, generally it's 6 in a year.
Thank you.
I'll go back on the slides for one.
Alistair, can I just respond to Bob's question about first aid? Bob, what we're trying to do with that, it's a fairly soft, really requirement. I mean, a person who's done one co-lead, if the master ride leader thinks they're worthy of being accredited and they're a competent person, then they're a ride leader. We're putting in this second level just to encourage people to get their first aid certificate. It's, I mean, I think quite a few of us have sat through that one-day course, you know, a number of times, and CPR and all.
Yeah, okay.
But it's just a way of encouraging something. I think that's desirable for ride leaders to have a first aid certificate. It's not that hard to get. Usually, I really can't talk for regional
We did one just recently after you long.
Yeah, we did, but
Yeah.
you know,
Sorry.
still that, you know, the argument is that for a lot of them it costs money. These aren't free.
No.
So the buggy, the group either says, "Well, happy to pay for everyone," or
Well,
so there's stumbling blocks. So that'd be a stumbling block for Phil.
yeah.
No, yeah, like David said, it's desirable. It's not a prerequisite to become a ride leader.
One of the other things is that that you need to be obviously a member of Bicycle New South Wales.
Yep.
So that in itself is making sure that we know that they've got the right insurance that will cover them if there was an accident to happen on the bug ride. So that basically makes sure that, you know, we've got our checks and balances in check. Is there an issue with that?
Rob here from Albury Wodonga Pedal Power. Just for instance, in our club, we subsidise that membership by 50% for the ride leaders. It is just a nice gesture, really, to offset the costs and also give the ride leader a bit of a benefit.
Thanks for sharing. Were there any other questions?
It's Trevor Nash here from Bike North. Could I just ask about the relationship between the courses, say, that Bike North already runs for its leaders versus the Bicycle New South Wales stuff? I mean, is the Bicycle New South Wales going to replace what's done by local bugs, or do you see them as complementary?
Darren's got his hand up. Would you
Yeah,
like?
can I answer that, Trevor? I've actually, from a board perspective of Bicycle New South Wales, being involved in the creation of the rights committee that Dave's the chair of, and all the time, and Graham can probably answer this as well, is that Bike North has always been operating under the this sort of model, in that a master ride leader has to sign off of a Bike North ride leader. So the way we manage that is having a master ride leader, at least one in our rides committee, who's managing that on behalf of Bike North. So that's not going to change. I don't expect any changes with Bike North with this new courses. It's more about the bugs and clubs who need this sort of course model, because there's no local courses happening in Sydney at Olympic Park at the moment, and it actually complements and borrows a bit from the Bike North model as well. So I hope that answers your question. No change for Bike North from our point of view, but you might want to chat with the Bike North exec to have their view. But from a Bike North New South Wales board point of view, there's no change required for Bike North.
Okay.
Just a comment, Alison, from the previous rides coordinator at Bike North. Trevor, we send at the end of signing someone off. Previously, we send a record into Bicycle New South Wales to say that they've completed the apprenticeship program of Bike North that meets the Bicycle New South Wales requirements. So I imagine something like that will just continue. So,
And that's a perfect segue into something that I would like to reiterate. When master ride leaders are delivering courses within bugs, we would love to know when you are going to administer a course. So whether that's signing it up on Buncher or just making mention to our info@bicyclenewsouthwales.org.au email that you're going to run a course, who it's going to be for, so that we can then, you know, double check that they are members, so that we're not delivering courses to people that, you know, people in bugs that aren't members of Bicycle New South Wales. We just need to make sure that we've got our checks and balances in that sense.
Alistair.
Yes, Natalie.
Natalie from St George Bug. I just wanted to know if there was a cost involved for becoming a master ride leader.
No, there's not. No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll move on to the conclusion. So like I just said, if you would like to ask any more questions, please, of becoming a master ride leader, as it's a very important role, and we would like more ride leaders in bugs to become master ride leaders, so that we can then grow the network of the great community that we've got riding under the Bicycle New South Wales banner. So created an email, which is bnsw-mrls@bicyclenewsouthwales.org.au, and that will come So if you would like to become a master ride leader, please email that email. And like I said before, we'll continue to try and improve this course. So your feedback is key in this. So please don't hesitate to email either the master ride leaders email or info@bicyclenewsouthwales.org.au, because every experience that you've got and everything that something goes wrong within the course or you administering the course is only going to help us make it a better I guess experience for everyone. And like I just said, if there are any MRLs that you know of, please reach out. We're keen to get the information to you, to your bug. I have emailed most of the bugs that I've been able to contact, presidents that is, and they've got all the course material. You can go to them directly, but you can also come to us, and we're happy to help out as well. Again, I'd just like to say thanks to David. You have put in so much time over the last 8 months, and it's really good to see this project coming to fruition. And we really look forward to the next 6 months of rolling out the program. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. I know it's Thursday evening, but that's very good of you. So thank you all.
Thanks, Alistair.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yep,
Thanks,
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alistair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Alistair,
Yeah.
just a question. How many master ride leaders are there, and how many bugs? Like, what's the percentage wise at the moment?
So we've got 30 bicycle user groups, and we've got about 35 master ride leaders.
Okay.
At the moment.
And like Bike North would have.
Yeah,
multiple-
we'll be at 9 of those. So trying to expand so that we can. So basically, all bugs can help each other out, in a sense.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. Excellent, everyone. I'm going to end the meeting for everyone. But
Thank you, David.
thank you,
Yeah,
David. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks.
Cheers, Graham.
Right.
All right, cheerio, everybody.